Hello everyone and welcome back or welcome to the first episode of the Super 100% free-to-play adventure. That is a mouthful, but as you can see on my right or on your left, or I don't know, either way, there is the explanation of why it is called this. So for 100% free-to-play, we are not going to be doing any pulls ever. It also means that we can't get any free legends from the game. We have to sell those characters. No pullable characters are allowed on this account. No loopholes. And also, why is there a super in the name? Is because we are using an achievement system to prevent us from progressing too fast. So, for instance, say we only allow us to get to a certain captain multiplier after reaching level 1000 on the account. So I'm not gonna make these goals too small. I'm gonna make them quite big, and we are gonna start very small at captains that only multiply your attack by 2.5x, which is very old, very dated. It goes back to 2015 captain multipliers where it is only 2.5x, but it used to be amazing back then. In the early stages of the content, it will be quite difficult to get by with such a small captain multiplier, but we should be able to do it. As you can see there in the title, it also says beginner guide. The reason for that being that this is kind of also the best way for me to show you how to progress in the game, because I'm using a huge handicap. If you're someone who is starting and is playing the game normally, you're gonna have a huge leverage over me when I'm doing this. So this is a great way for you to just see what free-to-play characters are the best, and also I can give you some advice on if the current Sugar Face that's available is worth pulling on. So this is going to be both a beginner's guide as well as just a fun series, so I can enjoy the game again. It has been kind of getting boring on my regular account, but this series is a very interesting idea in my opinion. So hopefully this time I don't forget to back up my account, because I have done a series similar to this before. I called it the Ultra Hardcore series, which is a bit of a weird title, so I can understand why it didn't do so well. And also I tried editing that video, those series, but this one is going to be completely unedited. I'm going to try and make every single day an episode completely unedited. I'm just going to post it straight to YouTube. It's fine, because if I do edit, then there's a good chance that I will fall off and then the series will stop after like episode 4, which I don't want to happen. I want this to be a very long running series. Also my board is messed up, but yeah, you can see it's very behind the scenes right now. But as you can see down the right, that is the explanation. Last time though, what happened that ended the account was that I didn't save my account. I didn't back it up, and then when I restarted my laptop, I completely lost everything. So definitely gonna do that this time. If you are starting the game and finish the tutorial, the first thing you should be doing is going to your options. Wait, let me just hide this. You should be going to your options and then going to change device with SNS, and then there's an option here that says backup with SNS, where you can save your account to either an Instagram or a Twitter login. They used to do Facebook, but it stopped working. So no, wait, no, it's the other way around. They stopped working with Twitter, so you have to do it with a Facebook account. So I know most people won't have Facebook, but if you do have it, even if you don't, make one. It is very important that you have an account saved. Either way, that's all the admin. Let's get into the real nitty gritty, which is the tutorial. I'm not going to show you this. This is very boring. Nothing relevant here. But if you are a new player, don't worry. You don't have to like pay attention to the tutorial. I will go through stuff anyways. But if you want to get a good grasp on the mechanics, then the tutorial is not a bad way to start. And this is our first legend that we're ever going to pull. And probably the last, besides, of course, like reward tickets from events. But I also forgot to tell you, but treasure map is starting today, so tomorrow's episode is going to be hopefully one I can spend trying to struggle my way through the East Blue League of treasure map. I mean, 2.5x captains, there's not that many. I wish they still had that quest where you could like very easily clear it, and then they gave you a bunch of free-to-play characters. They removed it for some reason, but that would have been very helpful. Now, there's a lot of things I need to explain about the series, like details that you might be wondering about. I'll get that done as soon as the download finishes. Sanji, interesting character, good level him up break, but once again, I'm gonna have to sell him. Now it's gonna be weird because it's not like I can't get good characters. It just means that I can't use them as my captain. I have to use very weak captains as my captains. But for instance, Treasure Map, I'm still gonna play it. I'm still gonna be able to get some good free-to-play characters from that. I just can't use them as my captain, as I said, which is a big shame. But it's gonna be very odd. The teams are gonna be just very weird to see. And the more I look at it, the more this series name is very, very stupid. But it works, it's simple, and you kind of understand what it is by looking at it. So let's get this very, very big download done. It's still nowhere near as big as, for instance, Dokkan Battle, but it's still going to take me quite a while. That took way too long. So there's a few things I wanted to talk about. First off, you're probably wondering what I'm going to be doing with my gems now that I don't do any pulls. And the answer to that is I'm going to be saving. Of course, there are going to be ships that I can buy for 30 rainbow gems. I'm going to try and get all those. But after that, I'm just going to try and see how many I can get. Depending on how long the series goes on, I'm going to try and actually get to like at least 10,000 gems, which is a big goal. But I think if we go for a solid like few months, then we should be fine. There's a lot of free to play gems in this game, and there's a lot of inspiration for this series, particularly on the Dokkan side of things. There's a YouTuber called J Fanta who has a completely free to play account without any pullable characters, and his goal is just to show that you don't need any pay to play characters to actually do the free to play content. And a lot of people in the OPTC community have the sentiment that you need the new characters to be doing things. And I just wanted us to see if I can get up to the current month content and actually complete all of it using completely free to play characters. So him and also the Truth DT, he has a beginner series going right now where he just does a 1 hour playthrough of the game from the start. And those two kind of just inspired the series alongside Asian guy OPTC. He stopped making content a long time ago, but when he did still make content, he had a series called the Free to Play Adventure. You can obviously see the inspiration there, where he just played the game as a free to play player. He didn't do any crazy restrictions. He still pulled, but he didn't spend any money. So that's kind of mostly the name inspiration. And I will reveal the gem count at the end of every episode. As you can see, the subscribe button is conveniently hovering over the gem count. But we do get quite a few free to play gems here. It's not a celebration or anything at the moment, so we're not getting a lot. But this first 3 days, I think, is going to be very important because we do have a lot of benefits from being a new player, particularly the fact that we have manuals for skill ups. Okay, so if you are a new player, these are just manuals are allowing you to level up your specials, which basically means that they're going to be ready earlier. So having that guaranteed as a new player is very important. We have it for 335 hours. That is a lot of time. Uh, we do have a lot of dupes for free to play characters, but being able to use the manuals is a lot more convenient. So let's see what we have in our box. I'm not sure what this is. A lot of errors and some rare recruit tickets. Co-op. Co-op is going to be a very interesting game mode to go through. Because obviously there is going to be the other player you're going in with, and you can let them carry you. So I wonder how I'm going to approach that. But for now, let's just go through the most obvious content, which is going to help you as a new player. Now these tickets, limited pool. Okay, this is the login bonus, which they implemented a few years ago. It's not very good. All these characters aren't the best. There are actually a few really good characters here, though. Chopper would be an amazing pull if you're a new player. Zoro Juro is great for a late game player, like especially in a lot of speed running content because he just kind of wave clears all the enemies. Then there's probably the best character here, which is Robert and Jimbei. Especially being used in the recent content, they have a very unique and strong special. The rest of these characters aren't too great. Sober Mask, he should be getting a upgrade very soon. in a 6 plus. So that's going beyond the 6-star rarity, which legends have. But besides that, the pool has a lot of very mid characters. But honestly, if you're a new player, take what you get. You shouldn't be worrying about this too much. But if you do multis and you do get trash characters, then I do recommend re-rolling. But I do recommend waiting until New Year's, because New Year's is going to be a great banner and definitely going to be the new meta in terms of the strongest characters in the game. So I would say for that, or if you just want to go straight in, then I recommend pulling on this Sugarfest, which is the Head Start Sugarfest. It can last for 3 days only. So in those 3 days, you have to lock in, you have to get through all the story mode. I recommend try to get as many gems as possible. Try to also complete all the rookie, intermediate, and master chopper missions. That's going to give you a roughly 200 rainbow gems, alongside the 400 from story mode, almost 500. And if you just get a lot of free to play gems from logging in as a new player as well, you should be able to get to at least the 15th step. But let me just take a look at what that gives you. There are a lot of guaranteed great characters on that banner. And even if you are not waiting for New Year's, this is an awesome way to start off your account. It is a 3 times legend rate Sugarfest, which is only saved for the most hype Sugarfest, for your anniversaries, for your New Year's Sugarfest. So the fact that you just get this as a beginner is amazing. Of course, most people will be going for Gear 5. Any of these characters are great. I wouldn't recommend going for Yamato. Gear 5 is definitely going to be your safest option. There are a lot of great options here, but if you are starting off as a new player, just some characters I think you should look out for as a new player, just to get as many resources as quick as possible as a new player in One Piece Treasure Cruise. So of course there's the really strong characters like Gear 5. Nami here, she goes really well with Gear 5 as well. Sanji's an awesome unit still. Zoro and Sanji, and also Odin and Raja. Don't go for Big Mom, Yamato, Kaido. Kaido's great, but not for a new player. Law and Kid is also really nice, but not really for a new player. Yeah, I think those guys are going to be your best bet. Uta is awesome. She is really strong and very versatile, so I would also go for her if you can. But as I said, just go for Luffy. Year 5 is the most obvious option, and he is definitely not going to disappoint. But in terms of the regular characters here, I just wanted to point out Momonosuke here, the yellow one here at the top. He's going to be great for giving you 2.25x pirate XP every single quest. That is the resource that will allow you to level up your account. As you can see here on the top is pirate level 3. That is going to go up very fast if you have Momonosuke, or if you have Legend Marco, this one here. Another option is Jack. He's a very old character. He's, I think, 4 years old now, or 5. He's very old character, but he still is viable. He's not as good as Marco and Momonosuke, because he only gives you 2x pirate XP. It's still a huge increase from the free-to-play options, which are only like 1.3x. So definitely go for one of those three. I think if you can get one of them, and then also one of these very strong characters I talked about at the top here, then you will be in good stead on your account. Now, I don't want to be on this too long, because some people might not be beginners and just here for the content of the series itself. But let me just show you the Jack here. It's this one here. If you can see my cursor here, this Jack is really good. Also, this character that's right next to him, that's also a impeccable character. I always use her. She's a very old character, but still amazing. But don't worry about her too much. As long as you can have one of those pirate XP boosting captains, as well as a really strong starter captain like Gear 5, then you will be in good stead. And then the rest will follow. You can be pulling on New Year's banners. But if you take a look at these steps, you get a guaranteed legend every single multi. And there's a lot of limited pulls where you can definitely get a much more, you have a much higher chance of getting something that's substantial. And at step 10, you will be getting Sugofest exclusive Roger. Honestly, if you get Jack, Marco, or Momonosuke and Roger, that is fine. Roger is great still as a new player. He will work. If you don't want to reroll forever, that will be fine. If you can get Uta, even better. That will be definitely enough for you to get a great start on One Piece Treasure Cruise. You do need to go up until step 25 for gear 5, which is ridiculous. You're definitely not going to be able to do that free to play, especially in 72 hours only. So as long as you can get a Roger and one of those 3 XP boosters, but also if you can get gear 5 in the middle, then that is great. So that's enough rant about the starter Sugafest. Another thing about the series is I'm going to try and make each episode 1 hour in length, but fully unedited. Of course, you're going to see jumps, but that's just because I'm pausing the recording. But let's get straight into the event tab. This is where the magic is going to be happening, where you can get all your free-to-play characters in One Piece Treasure Cruise. And as you can see here in the check section or the check group of Extra Island here, there's a lot of free gems you can do or can get. This first one here is just a Sugafest trial. You do not have these characters in your box, but you can just auto it. You don't actually have to complete it, but it's just a nice quest for you to understand how the new characters work. And that's a huge download. I'll be back in a moment. If you don't have any interest though in the completing these, you can just tap on one of these characters. The boss will run away. It looks like a lot if you are a new player watching this. Yeah, there's a lot of debuffs in this game which are basically negative effects on your team. The enemy has a lot of defensive buffs which protect them from being hurt by you. That's a very elementary way of saying it, but yes, it is a very complicated system. But in due time, you will understand it's a lot easier once you've actually dipped your feet into some content. There's a lot of things here. Bazaar is the Rayleigh's Bazaar. As a free-to-play on this particular account where I'm basically getting no full characters, I'm not going to get a lot of Rayleigh points. That's what these are called, where you can actually buy a lot of resources with these. And they're actually free-to-play legends here, which I don't know. I don't think I'm going to actually buy these characters. I think I'm going to leave it up to you guys because these are like the most free-to-play a legend can get. The only way to get them is with points from one of the shops in the game. But it is a legend nonetheless. But they aren't pullable. So technically, regarding the rules, this character should be allowed. But I'll leave it up to you guys. In a later episode, I will put up a poll where you can choose whether or not I should be able to use these characters. Either way, I will only be able to use them once I reach the point where I can use captain abilities that give you 5x attack or above, which will be in the distant future. So for now, let's not worry about them too much. Just be prepared for the huge amount of downloads if you are starting this game. It takes so long for some reason, I don't know why, even with fast internet. But either way, if you are starting the game, before you do anything, do at least one multi. Now if you do have a free multi available, that's fine, just do that free multi. If you don't, just do one multi on either the New Year's banner. So if you are starting on the New Year's banner, when it's out, do a multi on that one. Part 1 should be fine because you don't have any legends in the game. So part 1 has every single character in One Piece Treasure Cruise, every single legend. Part 2, 3, 4 usually has limited pools, only about 30 characters of the, I don't know, almost 200 characters we have. So part 1 is going to be your best friend. There are a lot of old characters that aren't as good, but they always have upgrades. So just bolster up your account by pulling on part 1 of Sugafest. If you don't have a New Year's banner or anniversary or any big banner up at the time, then just do one multi on this banner. If you are someone who has started early before New Year's to try and get a head start and get as many gems as possible, then still just do one multi on this banner and see what you get. You get at least one legend guaranteed. Otherwise, you could just use the character you got from the tutorial, but usually they're not too good. Now at this point, I'm actually just going to be selling the free multi I got for Rayleigh points. So I'm just going to do it, see what I get. I just want to demonstrate for you guys a bit of team building, just so you can get a decent idea. But the second I show you guys, I'm also then going to sell these characters, because of course we're not allowed to use them on this series. So here's like the first pool until, and the last pool, and we're going to do until the New Year's banner, where we're probably going to get a free multi. You might get one of those things where it's a free multi every single day for like 10 days. That's a lot of Rayleigh points for me. But not even a single legend here on the first multi here. That is probably the worst free multi I've ever done in my life. There's so many fake golds here. There's that Chopper there who's literally obtainable from story mode. Crocus, who's the definition of a fake gold. He's a literal 3-star that has been evolved. The only good character here is arguably this page 1 Dex green character. Yeah, everyone else here is pretty bad. You can kind of tell how recent the character is by their artwork. Although not every single new character is great, it's still a good guideline if you are a new player. Just see if the artwork looks pretty solid. It's probably a newer character who's somewhat viable. As I said, not every single new character is good, but it's definitely going to be much better than the super old characters. And then I'm also going to be doing these free pulls I have in my mailbox. As I said, I am just going to really point them. But hopefully we can get someone decent here that I can actually give it a good example of team building with. The Sanji I got from the tutorial is not really a good example since he is a universal captain, meaning he boosts everyone in the game. So I just want to give you a demonstration of types and classes. I'm not going to go too in depth. If you are someone who wants a more detailed guide, then comment down. I will be releasing a comprehensive beginner's guide team building in a few weeks, or within the next few weeks, so keep a lookout for that. Okay, so we got the Nami and Usopp, which is definitely not the worst character in that pool of Straw Legends. Not the best either, but they are definitely usable. They are definitely pretty solid for a beginner character, or beginner player I mean. But as someone who plays the game with a lot more characters, this unit is just, they fall off really easily. Overall, good special though. They do a lot of things to give you damage and also to reduce debuffs that your crew has. Overall, as a new player, that's not too bad. And then there's also this free random ticket. There's not a guaranteed legend here, but there are some interesting units in this pool. I think there's actually a like a One Piece card game collab that happened. Oh my days, I'm gonna get demonetized. But yeah, you can actually pull a Kaido card, which the artwork actually looks like a card, like an actual card with Kaido on it. That character came from a collab with One Piece trading card game. He actually is in that pool, but I didn't really get him on my main account either. Unfortunate, but let's do a bit of team building. So at least Nami and Usopp is a bit more of an interesting captain here. They aren't universal like Sanji. They don't boost every single character in the game. So here is Nami and Usopp. They are a dual character, which means that you can actually swap between Nami and Usopp. They have different typings. Okay, so first off typings, there is red, green, blue, yellow, and purple. Those are the 5 colors. They are called Strength for red, Dex for green, Quick for blue, Psi for yellow, and Int for purple. Now, there isn't really much of a association regarding what kind of characters get each typing, but once you play the game for a long time, you kind of just get used to what typings certain characters usually get. Like for basically every single Blackbeard character in One Piece Treasure Cruise is a Int purple character. It's kind of weird. Sometimes they're different. So there is a teeny bit of teeny bit of an association there because Blackbeard is a very intelligent character. So he gets the Int typing. Characters like Douglas Bullet are very powerhouse-esque characters. They focused on strength, so they get the red typing. Or characters like Shanks, I don't know why he gets Psi a lot. There's no association there. I mean, Psi is kind of like psychological, and Shanks is pretty smart, I guess. But there's not a very strong correlation between typings and the unit themselves. So don't really try and find association there. The main thing is going to be classes. Now classes are kind of like the attributes of a character, the way that they fight and just them as a character. So for instance, Shanks is obviously a sword wielder, so he's a slasher character. Then we have Ben Beckman, who both uses his gun for smacking the enemy and also shooting them. So he's a striker and a shooter in this scenario. We have Sanji, who is a fighter character. He just kicks. He's not really a kicking class or anything like that, so he's just getting the fighter attribute. And he is also very powerful, so he has powerhouse. Nami and Usopp, Cerebral is kind of like a weird class, but usually the more smarter characters get these, or those who use more strategy in their fighting. Free Spirit is kind of just a class used for characters that are like pirates. So most of the people in the game, just people who are more free and liberal. The associations are kind of grappling at straws sometimes, but either way, all you need to know is that captains and specials, they boost different classes and different types. So as you can see here that Nami and Usopp, if you put them at the top here next to your ship, they will become your captain, and their captain effect will be activated for your entire team. They're going to boost the Cerebral Shooter and Free Spirit characters who have the classes by 4.25x attack, and HP, which is their health, the entire team's health, is going to be boosted by 1.3x based on how many Cerebral Shooter and Free Spirit characters you have. Now I kind of worded that poorly. Basically every character on your team that has one of those classes is going to get their stats enhanced by that multiplier. Then they are going to boost the damage dealt to delayed enemies. So delay is a ailment that the enemy can have, basically a debuff that you give to the enemy, which causes them to get delayed, which means that they take it's one more turn longer to attack you. So if the enemy has that debuff, then you deal even more damage for your entire crew. Well, it's only to those classes, as you can see the way it's worded here, and boost their damage dealt, so it's referring to these classes. So this entire part here is only for those classes. So if they are not one of those, then they get absolutely nothing from this captain. So you can see why this character is a bit more niche. They can only be used in certain circumstances. Either way, this is a very weak captain for nowadays standards. So once this character gets a upgrade, then they probably will become a lot more usable. They have a very interesting mechanic here at the end here, which states that you can actually delay the enemy based on how many damage you dealt in a turn. So say you deal 5 million damage, which actually isn't very hard at all to do in nowadays standards for damage, then you can delay the enemy guaranteed. And then if you deal less damage, it's only a percentage chance of the enemy being delayed. But for now, don't worry about these too much. As long as you can understand the basic multiplication of attack, health, and also the differentiation between classes and types, you should be fine to start off in One Piece Treasure Cruise. Then we have ships. Ships, there's a lot of ships in One Piece Treasure Cruise. And we're actually given a lot of cola at the start of the game through the tutorial. And this is a very valuable resource. It allows you to upgrade the ships using this cola. And as you saw below, that was a more interesting looking cola. It's called Super Cola, which is a lot more rare. You don't have to worry about this too much, but it basically allows you to upgrade the ship beyond its max, if that even makes sense, which gives it much stronger abilities. But now don't worry about it too much. This is the default ship, the dinghy. It only boosts your captain's recovery by 40. Recovery is the other stat that I didn't talk about besides health and attack. It basically is going to allow you to heal more whenever you pick up a recovery orb, which is one of the orbs in the game. If you did play through the tutorial, you probably should understand what recovery orbs are, and they just allow you to heal your crew based on if you hit a perfect strike or if you hit a great strike. If you hit a perfect strike, then your recovery orb will not heal any HP. It will send the recovery orb flying because you just knocked it away with a perfect. If you hit a great or a good strike, then you will actually use the recovery orb and you can heal your HP. If you hit a miss, then your recovery orb is wasted and nothing happens. So your recovery stat is important for healing more HP with those recovery orbs. And it may seem a bit weird right now, but it is quite easy to understand once you actually play the quest. The most difficult thing to understand in One Piece Treasure Cruise are all the gimmicks that are applied to your team. So the debuffs that you get and the buffs that the enemy gets. So this is already going on for quite long, but as I said, these episodes are going to be about an hour. If you are someone who is just coming here for the content itself, then you're probably skipping through the video, and I'll meet you when we actually start playing the quests. But I think that's just a very lukewarm understanding of how team building works. you want to run your captain here as the unit that has your best captain ability, and that is going to boost all of your crewmates. So the lucky us, we can actually see the attributes of the character here when they are selected in the crew. You can see they are a fighter and free spirit. That allows you to understand their synergy a lot better when you look at the captain ability. So at this point, I'm going to be starting to selling all these pay-to-play characters, all the pullable units that I am not allowed to use in this series. It is going to pain me, but it's not the end of the world. Let me just show you that Sanji, he is a very old character, so his captain ability isn't even as strong as Nami and Usopp's. But he is universal. It says boost crew's attack. That means every single crew member, including the captains. I forgot to mention, but there's also a friend captain, which is just someone else you can bring into your crew when you start a quest, and that can actually help you carry your team a lot, because even if you have a terrible team, you have someone like a Gear 5 friend captain, you can just use them and boost every single unit on your team. It depends though, because the 6-star version of Gear 5 only boosts Psy, Fighter, and Free Spirit characters, but the 6+ version boosts every single unit in the game. In terms of Super Evolution, which is where you upgrade a legendary character to 6-star plus form, don't worry about that for now. You have to play a lot of events to actually get the resources to super evolve those units. So for now, just use your characters as they are. Get them leveled up, evolve them. You should know how to do that after the tutorial. I'm not going to show you guys how to do that. And you can see we actually have a lot of starter materials that the game just gives us for being a beginner, which is awesome. So I'm going to sell up these characters, and then we can get into some real content. So the Shanks we got in this tutorial is a rare recruit character. Ben Beckman is story mode, so I'm leaving him there. Sanji goes bye-bye. And then we have all these characters here. Besides this, Luffy. Luffy is free to play, which is awesome. We can also keep the Nami character. She is also from story mode. Wait, no. She is not from story mode. My bad. I'm getting confused. Chopper is from story mode. We can sell the rest of these characters though. Crocus is story mode. Not story mode, I mean. He is pullable, but he is a fake gold. Screw that. Bye-bye, Senior Pink. And that is every single pullable unit in my box. Gone. So now we only have like 5-6 characters. It's not the best, but we'll see what we can do. This Luffy is actually not a bad starting unit. He only boosts side characters. The Luffy we got from the tutorial is a bit better in terms of the fact that he boosts everyone, but his multipliers are horrendous. Now I think this Luffy might actually be too strong, because we are starting off with a 2.5x captain as our ceiling. So this Luffy is actually, yes, he's 2.5x. That's perfect. That is exactly as far as we can go. Now if you are someone who has been playing the game for a very long time, 2.5x captains are very nostalgic, because they used to be the meta. They used to be so good. Nowadays though, never. We have 6x captains, so there's no way that 2.5x is sufficient. He has a decent special. Well, in my case anyways, he gives an orb boost, which is basically where your multipliers for orbs are increased. And by that I mean, if you have a orb that matches the color of a unit, you deal double damage. This buff is going to enhance that effect by 1.75x. When they say greatly boost, that means 1.75x. I don't know why they don't just say 1.75x. It's they should give more detail, but they do that for a lot of more recent characters. But all you need to know is greatly boost is going to be 1.75x. If they just say it boosts orbs, then it's just 1.5x. But either way, this is going to be making that orb effect of matching orbs a lot stronger. This is one of the most basic and essential buffs that you can have in One Piece Treasure Cruise. So just store this in your mind. Orb boosts and attack boosts are going to be your most basic and friendly buffs that most people should, or most teams should be able to provide. He also does damage to one enemy. It's very weak, so don't worry about that too much. So this Luffy is going to be our friend from the start. We also have this chopper here, which is the character I did pull, but as I said, he is obtainable from story mode. He's a pretty terrible character. He does nothing. He's literally just there for stats at this point, so not the best character to have from the start. This Luffy, he slowly upgrades into a more usable character. Still not good at all if you're someone who's playing the game normally, but in my scenario, he's a solid 2.5x captain when I do evolve him. And then we have the bandits. I'm still gonna save them. I need someone on my team. So that is basically everything I have at this point. Now, if you are someone who just did their first multi, as I told you to do earlier, the next thing you want to do is definitely jump into story mode, just knock out everything, and then go straight to doing your pulls. But if you are someone who is not pulling on the beginner Sugar Fest, in which case you don't have a strict time limit, that is not as important. But if you are someone who's doing the beginner Sugar Fest, as you can see, 72 hours is all you have. You need to get through the story mode as fast as possible. It's very easy. With the free multi that you just did, or the first multi of the beginner Sugar Fest you just did, you can get through this ridiculously fast and ridiculously easy. It still does take a long time just because of the sheer volume of story mode islands there are, but you should be able to get through it very easily. Some of these reward more gems for completing them than others. This one gives 5 gems for completing it. This one gives 10. Usually the end islands for each arc is going to give you 10 gems. Some of them give you free characters. Most of the story mode characters are terrible if you are playing the game normally, so I wouldn't worry about that. For me though, I think I'm going to worry about it very much. Some of these don't even give you rainbow gems upon completion. Like at the start here, we have Shellstown, which just gives you Zoro. It doesn't give you any gems. So if you are someone who just doesn't have time to go through everything, you just want to get through the ones that give you the most gems possible, then focus on these, being the Alubana 10 gems, also Skypiea Upper Yard Arc Maxim that gives 10 gems as well. This one doesn't, unfortunately. That doesn't either. The next one is Impel Down. No, not Impel Down. The Bay Oris Plaza gives you 10 gems as well. And then also the Dressrosa last one, and Holkek Island. And this is the last one we have, Holy Land of Marijwa. The game should update sometime for the Wano Islands. I don't know why they don't. It's extra free gems if they do. And of course, you don't just get the 5 gems or 10 gems or whatever it is upon completion. You also get some gems for completing the middle quests for the islands themselves. So you do get a lot more than what's advertised. Okay, so that's a basic rundown of story mode. But after that, or if you are someone who doesn't have a strict time limit, you might want to first come to the extra island. Now this is, as I said before, where the magic happens. This is going to be a daily quest that comes around every day at about, I think it's midnight PST, where you can get a free rainbow gem as well as some resources. So do that every day. It's a free rainbow gem. This is just a quest that comes around every single time you update the game. So that's a free gem, but there's no time limit for that. As you can see, I've pulled this daily quest. It runs out in 1 hour. So you want to make sure you get those done every single day. Then there's also a friend mission, which I haven't talked about. But if you are a new player, you can actually complete an extra set of very easy missions with another account. Now, you're not really doing it with another account, you're just kind of linking to another account. You complete the missions, you get gems, they get gems, it's happy days. But what you need to do at that point is you need to go to friends, then go to invite friend, and then you go to, oh wait, no, you go to, no. So how it works is, the person you are doing the friend mission with, so the person who is not doing the missions, you go to their account. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to my main account to show you guys how it works. Okay, so I'm on my main account right now. As you can see here, if you go to friend, then go to invite friend. So this is on the account you're doing the missions with, as I said before. So if you are someone who is just starting the game, join one of the OPTC discords. Go to the general chat or whatever, and then ask someone or just ask, does anyone want to do the friend mission with me? Then what you can do is they will go to the friend mission. They can go invite friend and then invite friend with social media. Then they'll get a code. They will give that to you, and then you will come here on your account and then input that code. So you come here to enter invite code. You have to do it within 30 days, and then you can put that code in there, whatever it is, and then if you click OK, you can start friend mission with them. You will complete a bunch of beginner missions. They will give you a ton of free rainbow gems, and then once you complete that successfully, all of them, then they will also get a bunch of gems on their side. So as you can see, it's a very convenient system, and it gives both parties a lot of rainbow gems. So I will also release a more detailed guide on this in the future, and how you can do it a lot easier. But for now, that was just a very brief overview of that, just to cover all bases. A few more things here on the homepage. We've covered friends. Mail is just, of course, where you can see everything. Notices. This is all the most recent stuff in the game. There's going to be a rookie guide here as well. There is a free-to-play team that you can start off with, which is very powerful. Too powerful for my restrictions, unfortunately. So I can't really use that team. I can't use the Luffy as my captain anyways. He's too strong. Shop, of course, stay away from this. Don't get addicted. Free-to-play gems is enough. I would recommend downloading or buying the $1 gem packs here. For 15 rainbow gems, you buy it for $1. You get a lot of rainbow gems, good value. To get all of these, if you are planning to go somewhat pay to play, not even really pay to play, just buying the most best value packs for the cheapest amount. The login pack is also pretty decent, and the rookie login pack is probably the best value pack in the game. 54 gems for $1, I mean, is really, really the best value you're ever going to get in One Piece Treasure Cruise. So if you are someone who's going to buy, then go for those ones only. And then later on, if you are deciding that you have enough funds and you really enjoy the game, then sure, go ahead with the others, but I don't recommend it. So this is just where you can see all the recent information about when events are going to be starting. As you can see, basically every event starts at, or a lot of things start at 1900 PST. Some events start at 1 a.m. PST, like the treasure map today is going to be starting at 1 a.m. PST, which is 11 a.m. my time. It's starting in 2 hours actually, which is, I don't know why I lifted up 3 fingers, but yeah, a lot of Sugo Fest start at 1900 PST, so mark that down. See what time that is for you. There's a lot of events here which only unlock when you reach certain pirate levels. I like that system. It prevents people from getting overwhelmed. Pirate King Adventures, that is another game mode. Don't worry about that for now. It is actually where you can get the free-to-play team. Let's actually get it done right now. This is a very good team. I want to just show you guys before we end off this first episode. Just show you guys how good these teams are, or how good these units are. You clear a very easy tutorial with the Straw Hat team, the free-to-play team, and you can actually get them, at least one copy of them. I don't think you get all dupes of them, unfortunately, but you still just get one copy of them, which should be enough. So this is a trial map to Super Evolve Luffy. After you clear this, the real Pirate King Adventures is revealed to you, which is a very difficult game mode if you are someone who is new to the game. But there is a very easy level that you can grind your Pirate King Adventures at, even if you are a new player, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, so this is the first game mode I will actually introduce you guys to. This is the most beginner-friendly game mode in terms of you can basically play the game mode at level 40, which is a very easy level. I said previously that it is very difficult for a beginner. That is only if you go to the high levels. It does go up to level 300, which is ridiculous. Most people only go up to level 150 because that's where the most rewards are at. Beyond that, the HP gets ridiculous. Let me tell you, at level 300, the enemy has 1 trillion HP. 1 trillion. That's crazy. 1 trillion HP. I just saw, as told you earlier about Nami and Usopp. They need 5 million damage to activate their effect or whatever, which, as I said, is not very easy to achieve in modern day One Piece Treasure Cruise. You can see why, because I think it's actually 20 trillion. I think it's 20 trillion. It's ridiculous. There's literally no way of clearing that, I think, besides using cheese. Like, there's not a legitimate way of getting 20 trillion damage in the game, but it's still up. That content is still available, even though it's unclearable without using units that just cut the enemy's HP using percentage. Yeah, there's a thing in the game where it's called percentage cut, where there are specials that can actually cut the enemy's HP by, say, 20%, but then there's these very rare units that cut it by like 50%, and that's really the only way to deal with such a quest. It's ridiculous. But you don't have to worry about that for now. Most normal teams in the game, for most game modes like Treasure Map, are going to be dealing about 100 million, which is a lot more reasonable. It's still going to be difficult for you as a new player. You do need an understanding of the most basic and important buffs, and how to get around the most annoying debuffs on your team, as well as enemy buffs. You see what I mean? There's a lot of gimmicks that you have to deal with. Another reason why I wanted to come into this quest is it also gives you a decent idea of quest gimmicks. This one is called Despair. It can be applied to either of your captains. Sometimes they apply to just your captain, just your friend captain, or both of them. As you can see, there are 3 turns. After 3 turns, it will go away. It just disables your captain ability. It's that simple, but it's also that annoying. Losing your captain ability is one of the worst things to have in a quest, or one of the worst things to lose. So we have our Robin here. She's a part of the free-to-play team. Everyone here is a part of the free-to-play team besides the friend captain Law. He is a legend. So Robin's great. She gets around with that. She also is going to give us matching orbs for the units that are next to her. Then we have, oh yeah, as I said before, the damage is a lot higher if you do have matching orbs. So we actually just need that, and we can kill off Doflamingo. At the start, your tap timing might not be perfect, pun intended, but after a while, you'll get used to it. Especially if you use these characters a lot more, since they the same tap timing every time you hit them. But this is going to be the free Luffy. He's a great character. He's only amazing once you super evolve him. But already, he is kind of out of my range. He's a 3x captain. To side characters, the rest of the units still get a buff, which is great. It means that this unit is a lot more versatile. It's just weaker, being 2.5x attack, 1.1x HP, and then 1.25x pirate XP. This is what I was talking about earlier with Jack, Marco, and Momonosuke. But as I said, free-to-play options are a lot worse. This Luffy is 1.25x at this point. Once you max out Luffy though, he becomes a 1.5x, meaning he's a lot more viable. That's going to be my goal. Unfortunately, I can't really use him as a captain either way because of his high attack multipliers and my restrictions. And I think this is actually a good time to talk about my first objective. What is my first objective that is going to allow me to upgrade from a max of a 2.5x captain attack multiplier to a 3x? I'll show you in a second once we clear the Pirate King Adventures tutorial. But I do want to discuss a few more mechanics that we should be able to see in the rest of this Pirate King Adventures tutorial. As you can see in Pirate King Adventures, once you kill a boss, you get to choose from a list of 3 rewards. In the tutorial, they just give you 1, but once you actually play the game mode, you can see they give you 3 rewards. You can choose from one of them. Now, this isn't the most complicated game mode. You just go to a hex which is close to you. If you play through the tutorial of Pirate King Adventures, you should be able to understand it. It's definitely one of the easier game modes to understand. So this is definitely a more beginner focused video. So if you are someone who has come just for like the struggle of the handicaps that I'm putting on myself, then definitely come around for next episode where the fun will begin. But this one, I just wanted to focus more on your beginners, just to get you guys a bit more in tune with how the game works. I didn't really explain the cooldown function of the game too much, which is just every single turn passes, your specials get closer to being ready. There are a lot of ways you can use to actually make sure that you don't have to wait too long for your special to be ready. There's abilities in your captain that can allow you to get it to charge quicker. There's also specials that you can use. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. But as you can see there, our Luffy is 7 turns until he is going to be ready. There's 8 turns for the Germa friend captain. He's also a legend, not a free-to-play character. And then Sanji 6 turns. As you can see, our Frankie, Nami, and Robin are all ready to be used. Once again, we're using Robin. I don't know why they're making us use Robin so many times. The enemy has blue shield. This is just a defense increase. A very basic enemy buff, but probably the most annoying if I'm being honest. It's very common and it is very potent. So Frankie's going to be great to reduce that by 3 turns, which is all the turns that the enemy has. He also gives us a new buff. This is color affinity. Now, as you can see in the top left of your user interface, there is a bit of a diagram here. Strength deals double damage to Dex. Dex deals double damage to Quick, and Quick deals double damage to Strength. It works in the opposite way. Strength deals half damage to Quick, Dex deals half damage to Strength, and Quick deals half damage to Dex. So there is going to be a sort of a hierarchy here. Well, not really a hierarchy. It's very balanced. Strength, Dex, and Quick units. Red, green, and blue. They all have a relationship that you need to understand. Strength dominates Dex, Dex dominates Quick, and Quick dominates Strength. And as I said before, you also deal less damage if you hit the type that you're weak against. So I'm just going to give you a moment to digest that. You can click 10 seconds back on the video just to understand that again. And after that, you may be wondering, what about yellow and purple, Psi and Int? These guys are both strong against each other. So there is no weakness, or in terms of you deal less damage for Psi and Int. Psi and Int deal neutral damage to Strength, Dex, Quick, so there's no debuff or buff in terms of the damage, but they deal double damage to Int. They also take double damage from Int. So it's kind of a balanced relationship between those two. Strength, Dex, and Quick also deal neutral damage to Psi and Int, yellow and purple. So they kind of have a neutral relationship between each other. So it's kind of interesting how they work. In a lot of other gacha games like Dokkan Battle, there's a full circle relationship, or it's a lot more or less elaborate than this. But Strength, Dex, Quick are grouped together, Psi and Int are grouped together. They both have a neutral relationship together, but intertwined. They have weaknesses against their types. So, as I said, once you dip your feet into the game a lot more, you will begin to understand the typings and their relationships a lot quicker. That's basically it. Super specials are exclusive to captains. They're just extra abilities that can proc if you have certain characters in your crew. It is a more advanced mechanic in the game, so I wouldn't worry about it too much, but it does give you a lot of extra buffs. As you can see, Luffy's one gave us damage and also changed all of our orbs into matching. He also changed our yellow units into super yellow, super Psi, and what this does is it just increases color affinity. But what I was talking about before, the color affinity boost, as you can see there, it only applies to our yellow units because Frankie only gives it to our yellow units. It lasts for 3 turns, and it's going to enhance the effect of color affinity. So that means if you're attacking against a weak character, you're going to deal even less damage than you would have initially. But it's even better if you're typing or attacking against a unit or type that you are strong against. It deals even more color affinity damage. So it's a double-edged sword. If you are attacking against a weaker type that you're weak against, you'll take double damage from them. No, you won't take double damage from them, you'll just deal less damage. So It's kind of complex, but all you need to know is that it's gonna act as a double-edged sword. Only use it if you are someone, or if you are attacking someone who is weak against your type. If you are neutral against them, so say you are a strength team and you're fighting a int enemy, since you are neutral against them, color affinity does absolutely nothing. It doesn't debuff you, it doesn't help you, it just sits there. That's a basic rundown of color affinity. Once again, it is difficult to digest as a new player. If you are someone who has played other gacha games like Dokkan or I don't know what, it will be a lot easier to digest, but just be kind to yourself. This is a very complicated system to understand. So that is I think, all the quests for this tutorial. There might also be one for Kaido, I think. But as you can see, we are recruiting all the characters as we go. Got the Nami and the Robin. Both of them are very utility-based units, meaning they don't help us with damage. They instead help us with getting around our debuffs. They also give us matching orbs, which is really nice. Okay, let's go through the final Pirate King Adventures fight. We're running down on time, 4 more minutes, and then we're going to end off the episode. And then I'm going to end off with our goal. I'll tell you guys what is my goal for getting to the 3x captain attack multiplier. So Kaido's the last fight here. Let's get this done with. Okay, so as we go into the last quest here, they actually give us a fully maxed team. Well, they're basically fully maxed. They mainly just have most of the basic aspects of the unit completely maxed out. This means that the characters will have much better stats. They'll get their specials charged a lot faster because they are maxed. And this is a pretty solid team. There's a lot of damage here. We have Zoro, who's going to give us an orb buff. As I said earlier, it just increases the amplification of matching orbs. So instead of being 2x, if Zoro buffs that by 2x, then it becomes a 4x buff if you have a matching orb. But once again, I actually didn't say this earlier, but just like color affinity, this acts as a double-edged sword. If you have a bad orb, so if your orb is strength and you are a dex character, then you're weak against strength characters, meaning you have a bad orb. Your damage is halved. If you are using a orb buff, then it will just make the orb buff even worse, or it will make the negative effect of bad orbs even worse. So it's definitely a double-edged sword for both orb boost and color affinity. Attack boost, which is what Luffy gives, is just a flat buff. There's no double-edged sword. It's always going to be good. Attack buffs are always going to be amazing to have on your team. Then we have Sanji there, who is a very unique buffer. He also gets around enemy buffs, and he gives us a very interesting and important damage boosting effect. I genuinely think this is the most important fight in this tutorial. It gives you a good idea of a really well-built team. As you can see there, we have Yamato as our friend captain. She's a great starting unit as well. She boosts Sai units very well, which, as you can see, all of our units on our team are Sai, so there's great synergy there. Luffy is also a great captain. He's actually super evolved now. He looks different from the one that we got. It's because he's 5+ instead of a 5-star unit. You actually get these super evolution skulls from this tutorial, I think. So you don't have to worry about struggling to get those. Now, the reason I said this is a really well-built team is not just because the captain and the friend captain boost the units. No, it's because this team gives every single basic buff that you should be knowing about as a beginner in this game. So as you can see, the enemy has a buff, we have a debuff, and we have another debuff. So this weird looking icon here. So in the tutorial, you probably learned about tapping. As you tap, you have a chain that increases. All you need to think of that chain that increases is an attack multiplier. As you tap with perfect, your chain builds up slowly. If you do hit a mistap, your chain will completely break. You'll start off at a 1x attack multiplier again with the chain. With no chain buffs whatsoever, if you hit 5 perfect taps, you will reach a 2.5x chain, which is just a 2.5x attack boost. It's just that simple. There are units that can increase this so that you can actually get to a higher amount after 5 perfects. These units are called chain boosters. Yamato is a chain booster. She boosts your chain multiplier by plus 1.3, meaning that you can reach, it's not 2.5, 3.8, which is a huge buff to your damage. Then there are units that can allow you to start off your chain at a higher amount. So instead of starting off at 1x, you start off at 2.5x. These are called chain boundary units. Then there are units that just lock your chain at one value. These are called chain lockers. Sanji is a chain locker, 2.5x. No matter what, no matter how many perfects you hit, no matter what, if you hit good, great, perfect, you're going to be staying at a 2.5x chain the entire time you tap. Then there are chain multiplicative boosters. Yamato is also a chain multiplicative booster, which is why she's so good for chain, so good for damage. Boost chain multiplier by 1.25x. And you might be wondering, what is this? Now, every time you hit a good strike, your chain multiplier remains unchanged. You still keep it, it doesn't break like it does if you hit a miss strike. But it doesn't change whatsoever. If you hit a great strike, it increases by 0.1, so a very minuscule increase. But if you hit a perfect strike, you get 0.3 added to your chain multiplier. What Yamato does is she increases that growth by 1.25x. So instead of increasing by 0.3 for every perfect you hit, you instead hit for about 0.425 increase every single time you hit a perfect. So it's not as good as or as essential as a chain boundary or a chain lock, I'd say, but it's a really important buff if you want to get to extremely high damages. And there is a one last chain buff which I haven't talked about. It's called chain growth rate buffs. These completely modify how much chain each perfect gives you. So for some chain growth rate buffs, it completely changes perfect taps from 0.3 per perfect to 0.6 per perfect. This is a lot better than chain multiplicative, I'd say, but it's best if you have both of them. Because if you take a 0.6 chain growth rate buff and then you add the chain multiplicative on top of that, then you're going to get to insane numbers per perfect. You combine that with a chain boost and a chain boundary, you're going to have probably a chain of over 10x, which is a huge attack increase. Because remember, I told you chain is just an extra attack multiplier added. So all these buffs that I've talked about, let me just recap. Chain lock sets your chain at one value the entire time. Chain boost just adds a chain to whatever you have, so it's basically increasing whatever you have by whatever the value they give you. So plus 1.3x or plus 1.3 to the chain, like Yamato gives you, will increase the amount of every perfect you hit or your total chain by plus 1.3. Chain boundary will start off your chain at a higher amount, but it also sets a ceiling, which I forgot to tell you about. It's usually irrelevant though, because the ceiling is usually like 30x chain, which you're not going to reach anyway. So the most important thing is that it starts you off at a higher chain, which allows you to in turn get more damage. That was chain boosts and chain boundary effects. And there's chain growth rate, which just modifies how much chain you get per perfect. Chain multiplicative also changes how much you get per perfect. And then we have our chain, nothing, that's it. So it's not that much. All you need to know is chain boundary and chain chain boost are going to allow you to start off at a higher chain. Chain growth rate and chain multiplicative increase how fast or how much higher your chain can get from the start. And then chain lock just keeps it at one value. Now I'm going to illustrate this much better in an actual guide for team building. But for now, I hope that is a solid recap of how chain works in One Piece, because it's probably the most important buff in One Piece Treasure Cruise. As I said before, you can reach 10x. That is a huge buff. 10x is ridiculous. That is a huge attack boost. Or buff in your attack. Then we have Luffy here. He gives a buff to existing attack and orb boosts. Now, before I said he gives an attack boost, but I guess they removed it for his 6+. No. I didn't see it. He gives a 2x Psy attack boost for 3 turns. 3 turns is great in buffs because it lasts over multiple stages. So you can get it for a longer time. So Luffy is great for giving that. He gives the attack boost. And as you can see, he got this perfect buff, which just means that if you hit perfects, then he gives you a buff in the following turn. As I said before, super types is just whoever your captain is, they get an extra ability if you have certain characters in the crew. In this case, Luffy, he just needs a Straw Hat character in the crew, which we have a lot of, so that ability is allowed to be used. Robin gets rid of Despair. Frankie gets rid of enemy defense up. Sanji is going to give us the chain. Unfortunately, they gave us a very weak chain. So the chain lock that I talked about before, it can be good, but it can also be bad. If you don't have any other chain buffs, then chain lock is great. If you have a lot of other buffs that are going to get your chain to extreme numbers, chain lock can actually act as a debuff, because it stops you from getting any higher chain. Enemy can sometimes give you a very weak chain lock as well. As I said before, without any chain buffs, you can get to a max of 2.5x chain after 5 perfects. Sometimes the enemy locks your chain at 1x. So you just lose 2.5x attack. The game treats chain locks as a debuff no matter what multiplier it's at. So even though Sanji is a 2.5x chain lock, which is great because it just locks our chain at the max possible for every single tap, so it's great for damage. But even then, it will be treated as a debuff by the enemy. Or by the game, I mean. So, don't worry about it too much. Just continue thinking about what I told you before. Don't worry about these orbs. It looks very complicated. Don't worry about them. They're just really good orbs. They give us 2.5x instead of 2x that the regular matching orbs give you. Yamato also locks orbs, which is great for keeping the good orbs that you have. The enemy has this buff called, or debuff called, increased damage taken. They just take more damage. It's not that deep. Perfect's easier to hit. It just makes it so that there's a lot more leniency and it's a lot easier to hit those perfects. Orb effect modifier. It just changes how great or how bad orbs are. For Luffy, he gave this in our special. He just makes Psy orbs count as 2.25x instead of 2x. This actually works great for even units that aren't Psy. It still counts as a 2.25x attack increase with a favorable orb. So it's really nice buff since it works with every character, not just units who have Psy as matching. No, scratch that. Never mind. It only is 2.25x if it's favorable. Ignore what I just said. It's only working if you are the character who matches the type. If you have that orb, it just increases that or modifies the multiplier you get from that. So usually it'd be 2x if Luffy has a Psy orb because it matches his type. But this buff changes it to 2.25x. It just makes it better. The rest of this is normal. It's 0.5x for unfavorable and 1x for normal. So this is the same. They only changed the effect of favorable orbs, which is awesome. So that's basically it. Kaido's going to go down. Some really more recent characters have this effect called Last Tap, which just gives an extra buff if you attack with them last. I'm sorry for the information overload. If you are a new player, I'm very sorry about the information overload. And we are 10 minutes past time. Let me quickly tell you my first big goal in the game before we can get to a 3x attack multiplier for a captain. I need to complete the Master Chopperman missions, which also means I need to finish the basic, the rookie missions, and the intermediate missions. Then I complete the master missions, and then I can use a 3x captain. We got Zoro Great orb booster. He also reduces enemy buffs, but that's only when you upgrade him. He doesn't do that for now. Sanji, chain boundary unit. When you make him better, for now he is a chain locker. Jimbei, he's pretty trash. he's the worst one of these characters. He's terrible. He reduces damage. He makes certain orbs matching for everyone, regardless of their type. And he also reduces a debuff called Bind Ship ability, which just stops your ship from working for a certain amount of turns. He's trash. Definitely the worst of these Straw characters. I mean, Chopper might be worse, but I don't know. We'll see. We do get Chopper and a few of the other Strats from... we can actually grind them from a quest, which is great. It's a very easy quest on Extra Island, where you can get the dupes to get these characters upgraded. So we actually got the skulls to upgrade Luffy to 5+. As you can see, this is a great animation, much better than the regular evolve animation, because it is a really big upgrade. And these are the free resources we were given at the start of the game to level up characters. We can actually just upgrade them all at once here, select a ton of them. And then we can get Luffy to level 99. Now, most characters are level 99. If you feed dupes to them, they can get up to level 150, which is a huge increase in stats, which is essential to a lot of content. Like Grand Voyage. Grand Voyage is the hardest content in One Piece Treasure Cruise. It's definitely not beginner friendly. It's not even mid-game player friendly. It's kind of whale friendly only, but we'll get into that later on. That's gonna be it for this video. I told you guys the master missions is my first goal. Once I complete the rookie missions, the intermediate missions, and then the master missions, I can then unlock 3x captain abilities. Next video, we are going to go into depth about more grindy aspects of the game. What quests are going to be great for farming up resources. What are the best ship for a beginner that boost your pirate XP. What is going to be the best free-to-play characters to start out with. That's going to be it for the video. I've yapped for an hour and 12 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. If you did, if you're a beginner, tell me, was my explanation okay? Do you guys understand it? You can rewatch certain aspects if you do understand it a bit less, such as the chain explanation. But for now, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you are having any thoughts about the series, then tell me in the comments down below. But with all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'm out.